Hey guys, welcome to part 3 of the financial statement analysis series. So in the first two parts of the series, we went over the income statement and the balance sheet. So now we're going to look at the statement of cash flows. As the name suggests, the statement of cash flows really just details the cash flows of the company. So it's showing you the cash inflows and the cash outflows. And that's why it's really important. Now, the statement of cash flows divides cash flows into three different categories. You have cash from operating activities, you have cash from investing activities, and cash from financing activities. So let's go over cash from operating activities first. So this is basically cash flow related to the core operations of the business. Essentially anything related to the current assets or the current liabilities, if you remember from our balance sheet series. So this is basically what the amount of cash flow that Apple generated from its core operations. So for the 6 months ended March 30th, 2019, they generated $37 billion of cash flow. Now, one thing you want to look at when it comes to investing activities is the amount for payments for acquisition of property, plant, and equipment. So this is also known as capital expenditures or CapEx. So they spent $5.7 billion on capital expenditures in 2019. What CapEx is basically its investments in infrastructure, in building their manufacturing capacity or buying new buildings, anything like that to basically improve some process of the business. Obviously, if you want to calculate free cash flow, which is cash from operating activities minus capital expenditures, you'll need these two line items. Now, cash from investing activities basically involves any cash flow related to your long-term assets. So it includes things like purchases of marketable securities. Now these are basically Apple's long-term investments. Obviously they have a lot of cash on their balance sheet, so they're investing it in bonds and a lot of other different financial securities. And something also important to look at is cash payments for business acquisitions. So if you want to track the amount of money the company is investing in acquisitions, this is where you would look for. And finally, you have your cash from financing activities. So as this suggests, this basically relates to any cash flow related to debt or equity financing, raising money or paying money back to your borrowers. So it looks like the biggest line item on the financing section is the repurchase of common shares. They purchased, looks like, 32.5 billion of the shares back in 2019. So you'll often see this with very large companies. They'll often buy back their shares to reduce the amount of shares outstanding to reward shareholders. They'll also pay dividends as well. Looks like they paid out $7 billion of dividends. Some other common items that you'll see on here include issuing debt. So looks like they issued some debt in the prior year, and they paid back about 2.5 billion of debt in the current year as well. So the financing section is really cool if you want to see how the business is financing itself. Are they issuing more debt? Are they issuing equity? Or maybe they're trying to pay down their debt. So that's where you would go to find out that information. And finally, at the end of the statement of cash flows, the company will reconcile the cash at the beginning of the year with the cash at the end of the year. So it looks like cash overall increased by 13.9 billion to 39.8 billion from about 24 billion at the end of the prior year. So overall, the statement of cash flows is a really great tool in your financial analysis kit because it shows you exactly the amount of cash flow that is coming into the business and coming out for various line items. Anyways, hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions at all, please leave a comment or contact me. And if you want to learn more about dividend investing or financial statement analysis, visit my website, dividendgrowthmasters.com, or check out some of my online courses. I'll see you guys next time.